Do you find it hard to break habits? I'd say as a life coach and as a martial arts instructor, breaking habits is one of the hardest things that we can do as part of that learning and growing process. And we don't want to break habits purely for the sake of breaking habits. We want to break habits that are currently not supportive for our growth, for our well-being, for our confidence. And we also want to create new habits that are supportive for our growth and our development and help us to become the person that we want to become in the future. So there is this process of practicing that is required, and to have intentional purpose behind that is also very important. It's very motivational. And to be patient with ourselves so that we don't give ourselves a hard time and end up giving up. And also to persevere, what I refer to in the blog as the 4 Ps, to make sure that you really make those habits strong and you make sure that they're well ingrained in your physical being, but also in your mental being as well. So the reason that this practice is so important is because what you're doing with habits is you're creating pathways in your nervous system that take time to develop. So it takes time to build the new habit, the new pathways, the new superhighways that are going to run through your brain and from your brain into your nervous system through your body. And it also takes time for your body to dismantle the old ways. And while that process is going on, you're going to flip in your behavior from doing the new habit and trying to encourage yourself to do the new habit, and then very unconsciously, often without even realizing it, flipping back to the old habit, and then kind of catching yourself and, oh, I can't believe it. And that's why the patience is really important. So when we're creating these habits, we have to understand why those habits are really important. And the reason that habits are very important is because they actually conserve a lot of energy. If we can unconsciously perform tasks, then it takes up much less effort and we can use our conscious mind for other things. So think of the time, for example, when you learned to drive and you were trying to steer the car, you were using the indicators, you were using the accelerator and the clutch and the gear stick and all of those things, and there was not a chance that you could have a conversation with someone at the same time. Certainly that was my experience. But fast forward a few years when you've been driving on the road for thousands of miles, you don't have to think about all of the gear stuff and the clutch and the brake anymore and indicating. All of that stuff just happens completely automatically. And then you can have your conversations and eat your sandwich and listen to the music in your car or your podcast or whatever it's going to be. And you're able to do all of that stuff because the automatic stuff, the habit, has created there's this huge long pathway, an intricate pathway in your body that makes you do it completely automatically. Now, if you want to change that, it requires literally a huge amount of energy, a lot of conscious effort, a lot of concentration, a lot of focus, a lot of intention, and all of that takes a huge amount of effort. Even something as simple as driving a new car. Suddenly the clutch isn't quite the same as it was in your old car, and you'll spend a bit of time sometimes getting used to that, and you'll stall it from time to time, or whatever it is, because it just wasn't quite the same. Or an example that I use in workshops is this idea of, when you walk, which leg do you lead with? And you'll notice if you practice that, you'll always lead with the same leg. You'll notice that that's what you do. And if you try and make yourself lead with the other leg, you have to think about it, and it feels awkward and it feels a little bit uncomfortable. But it's because it's not the habit. It's because you've become used to doing it a certain way. And that really serves you. So when it becomes to behavior, when it comes to mindsets, the same process is taking place, and we have to find a way of overcoming that. And the first step of that is awareness. To begin to become aware that we're performing or acting out of old habits that aren't serving us, and finding new habits, alternative habits that we can then practice so that we can begin that process of rewiring our brains and our nervous system and our minds so that we can, again, grow into the person that we know that we want to become. So I hope that metaphor helps you. And I'd really love to hear your comments as to what you think and how that helped and your experiences of overcoming those habits. And the blog that this video is attached to also discusses that. And you can find that blog on the Potentiality Coaching website. So that's potentialitycoaching.co.uk/blog/biology. That's going to be the URL for the blog. So please post your comments, and as always, I'd love to hear what you have to say about it on social media and on the comments post as well. Thank you for listening. I hope it helps, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you.